I want to share a book with you called Pickle, Chiffon, Pie by Jolly Roger Bradfield. I like this story. It's a really fun story. And when my daughter was younger, she's about to turn 40, when she was younger, this was her very favorite storybook. On the inside cover, it says Making Pickle Chiffon Pie. For those of you who have never experienced pickle chiffon pie, here is the recipe. 2 cups imagination, 3 teaspoons humor, exciting illustrations, 1 per page, at least 1 dragon, 2 tablespoons silliness, combine 1 beautiful princess with 1 hero well seasoned, a pinch of moral values, mixed together into a lively plot. And then you'll see here we have a picture of a king, and I'm assuming this is the pickle chiffon pie. He has a whole line of people bringing him plates. Pickle Chiffon Pie by Jolly Roger Bradfield. Now, when we have a book and it tells us the author, but it doesn't tell us the illustrator, we have to assume that the illustrator is the author, that he wrote the words and drew the pictures. And in this picture, we see a lovely castle, and peering out the top of the castle is a little king. A long time ago, there was a fat little king who ruled over the land as far as he could see in every direction. He was very wise, and his kingdom was a happy one. His wife, the queen, kept his castle spotless and saw that his robes were cleaned and pressed. She was a very good cook and made him pickle chiffon pie every day. So here's the queen in the castle with a big pickle chiffon pie. But everybody has problems. The king had a daughter. Oh, she was very nice and did whatever he asked her to, but she was also very beautiful, and every prince in the neighborhood wanted to marry her. Every day they came to the palace with flowers and gifts for her. To be polite, she would ask them all to stay for supper, and that meant there would be less pickle chiffon pie for the king. That was his problem. So here's the king, and I believe the princess is there. And look at all of the young men who have come to try to get her to marry them. Finally, one day, the king decided that his daughter should marry one of the princes. And then at least there'd be fewer people at the dinner table each night. So he called for the 3 nicest princes and told them that they would be put to a test and that the winner could marry the princess. Here's the king, and there are the 3 nicest princes. Nicest princes. The first, Prince Musclebaum. There's Prince Musclebaum. The first Prince Musclebaum was very strong and brave. The princess liked him because he was tall and had wavy hair and freckles. The second, Prince Wellred, was very smart. He could count up to 684, and he read books 3 inches thick. So there's Prince Musclebaum, and here is Prince Wellred. I wonder what the third prince was like. Hmm. Oh, the princess liked Prince Wellred too, because he read beautiful stories to her and sometimes played music under the window at night. There he is playing her song under the window at night with a slide trombone. I bet that's loud. Oh, he's got a drum down there too. The third, Prince Bernard, wasn't very strong or very handsome or very smart, but the princess liked him best of all. She didn't really know why she liked him because, no, perhaps it was just because he had a big smile and a funny nose. It's hard to tell about princesses. And there's Prince Bernard. The king told the 3 princes this: "You will each go into the huge forest at the edge of the kingdom for 3 days. As you know, it is full of gazoos, fairies, dim jewels, and all sorts of unusual things. The one who brings back the most unusual, the most marvelous, and the most wonderful thing may marry my princess. Now remember, Be back in 3 days. And so here's the king and the princess. And they're sending the princess out for 3 days to find something unusual in the forest. Musclebaum was delighted. Being stronger and braver than the others, he thought he would surely win. With a shout, he jumped onto his horse and galloped off in the direction of the forest. The first thing he didn't, At first he didn't see anything unusual. Just a few small dragons, a troll peeking out of a tree, a medium-sized giant, and the usual things one sees in a forest. So here's Prince Musclebaum, and as you can see, there's a couple of medium-sized dragons. There's the troll peeking out of the tree. There's a medium-sized giant. And he's just strolling along like that's nothing unusual. I guess in a magical forest, that's not unusual. But finally, looking behind a huge boulder, he did see something different. A green and blue dragon with 3 heads, toasting marshmallows. Now there's something you don't see every day, thought Prince Musclebaum. But I do have 2 more days. I'll look a bit more. And there's the creature toasting marshmallows with fire from its snout. That seems very unusual to me. On the second day, he saw a 4-wheeled dimdoozle with a pipe and wearing glasses. Now there's something different, thought Musclebaum. I've never seen a dimdoozle wearing glasses before. And I have 1 more day. I think I'll look a bit more. I wonder what a dimdoozle is. I guess this is a dimdoozle, some kind of creature on wheels. It seems very unusual to me. On the third day, he saw something really different. A huge lion juggling 6 cans of root beer soup. He was wearing a velvet vest and roller skates. This must surely be the most wonderful thing in the forest, cried Prince Musclebaum. Bravely, he grabbed the lion's tail and started dragging him back towards the castle. All right, so he's caught the lion by the tail and he's dragging him back towards the castle. I guess he's easy to drag since he's on roller skates. Meanwhile, Prince Wellred was searching too. The first day he spied a witch who could turn people into frogs, which really wasn't special except that she could do it with her eyes shut and one hand behind her back. Now there's something you don't see every day, thought Wellred. But I have 2 more days. I'll look a bit more. There she is, turning people into frogs and making their clothes shrink too. On the second day, he saw a 16-footed gazoo that had a different kind of shoe on each foot. Now there's something different, thought Wellred. I've never seen a gazoo with more than 7 feet. But I have 1 more day left. I'll look a bit more. So I guess this is a gazoo. It's a creature with a doggy head and maybe that's a caterpillar body. Very odd. And then on the third day, he came upon something really different. A giant with a green beard playing chopsticks on 2 pianos. Now this must surely be the most wonderful thing in the forest, cried Prince Wellred. I've never heard that tune before. He cleverly told the giant what a fine piano player he was, and he talked him into going back into the castle to play for the king. So there he is, talking to the giant to get him to go to the castle to play for the king. So I guess the king's going to see a lion on roller skates that can juggle and a giant that can play pianos. I wonder what Prince Bernard will find. Now let's not forget Prince Bernard. He was searching too. On the first day, he met an ogre so ugly that he scared the leaves right off the trees. Now there's something you don't see every day, thought Bernard. But he might frighten the princess if I brought him back. I have 2 more days. I'll look a bit more. There they are. Ooh, he is a hideous ogre, isn't he? Kind of goofy looking. On the second day, he discovered a tiny house tucked behind a tree. He peeked in and saw it was filled with mice, all busily painting the most wonderful pictures. Now there's something different, thought Bernard. But it really wouldn't be right to stop such happy, hard-working little fellows right in the middle of their work. I have one more day. I'll look a bit more. And look at this lovely little cottage. And inside, look at the mice painting amazing pictures. Wouldn't that be something amazing to find with a walk in the woods? On the third day, he saw something really different. A three-nosed snozzle with fuzzy eyes and an orange polka dot necktie, and it was busy making pickle chiffon pie. This must surely be the most wonderful thing in the whole forest, he cried. I thought the queen was the only one who could make pickle chiffon pie. Oh, the king will be so happy. And with that, he grabbed the snozzle's necktie and started leading it back towards the castle. Prince Bernard had never been happier in his whole life. Oh my goodness, that snozzle is certainly a funny looking creature. Oh well, Prince Bernard found just what he needed. It was hard work pulling the three-nosed snozzle through the forest, but Prince Bernard didn't mind. He was sure he would win the contest to marry the princess. But he wasn't quite so happy when he saw how sad the snozzle looked. "Oh, don't feel bad," said Bernard. "You'll like living in the palace. It's much nicer than this dark old forest. And anyway, I have to take you back in order to marry the princess." Oh my goodness, look at the snozzle. He looks so sad. But Prince Bernard has a kind heart. He feels a little bit bad about that. Then Bernard noticed several tiny snozzles peering out from behind the trees. "Oh, why aren't they cute?" he said. Are they your children?" The three-nosed snozzle nodded with big wet tears coming into its eyes. "Well, what will happen to them when you're gone? Do they have anyone to take care of them?" And the snozzle shook its head sadly. There's the little baby snozzles peeking through. Oh, what a sad picture. Prince Bernard sat down on a log to think. He thought of his love for the princess. He thought of the snozzle's love for its children. And for a long time it was very quiet and still in the forest. Finally, with a sigh, the prince let go of the snozzle's necktie and watched it scamper off. And then he turned and walked slowly back towards the castle because his 3 days were up. I don't know. I think maybe he made the right decision. Why would you want to take something to the castle that didn't want to go? The lion seemed like he was okay with going, and the giant went by himself. But the snozzle was crying. Well, when all the princes were called to appear before King Musclebaum, the king had a or before the king, Musclebaum had a big smile on his face. He was sure he would win with his juggling lion. Well-Red was smiling too. He was just as sure that he would win when the king heard the giant play his two pianos. Bernard hung his head sadly as he stood empty-handed behind the other two. Oh, poor Prince Bernard. He really loves the princess. Ooh, she might have to marry somebody she doesn't like as much. The king was delighted with Musclebaum's lion. "Wonderful!" he cried as the lion juggled 23 apples and a bottle of catsup. And there he is. Boy, that's quite the sight. He's putting on a really good show, isn't he? I'd like to see that. And when Well-Red's giant played chopsticks on his two pianos, the king laughed and clapped his hands in delight. "How wonderful!" he said. "How unusual!" It is very unusual. Well, then he turned to Bernard. "And what have you brought back?" he asked. Bernard bowed low before the king. He hoped that no one noticed the tears in his eyes as he raised his head and said softly, "Nothing, Your Majesty." He told of meeting the ugly ogre who might have frightened the princess. He told of seeing the amazing mice whose painting he could not bring himself to interrupt. He told of the tiny snozzle children that he could not bear to leave in the forest alone. There was silence in the castle. No one spoke for a long time. Bernard wished that he could run and hide. Everyone was looking at him, all except the princess and the queen. They were whispering to the king. So there's Bernard before the king, and look at that. The princess and the queen both whispering to the king. The king has a very large hat. The king nodded his head and smiled. Bernard, he said in a loud voice, you have won the right to marry my princess. But why, your majesty? I didn't bring back anything, said Bernard. Oh, yes, you did, my son, said the king. You brought back a story of kindness and love and consideration for others. Truly the most wonderful thing of all. You'll make a fine husband for my daughter. Wow, what a surprise. Don't they look happy? When Bernard married the princess, Well-Red's Giant played the wedding march, and Musclebaum's Lion put on a special exhibition to entertain the guests. What a fabulous wedding that must have been. And guess who sent Bernard and the princess the biggest pickle chiffon pie anyone ever saw for a wedding present? That's right, the three-nosed snozzle with the fuzzy ears and the orange polka dot tie. And that is the end of the story, Pickle Chiffon Pie. It's a lovely story. It's a beautiful story and it has gorgeous pictures. And the best part is it reminds us that the most important thing is kindness and compassion. I hope you enjoyed our story. Have a wonderful day.